Madlozi yakhuluma nami.
Thokozani, Dimelang, Lisedi. Hello everyone and welcome to the one-on-one sessions with Coco Mosore, and I'm your host Coco M, giving you guys tips, lessons and teachings on everything spirituality. Okay, so today I want to talk about herbs. Not really herbs per se, but why certain herbs are not working for you. Let's say, for example, you're a person who has a certain issue, maybe for example maybe I don't know, like there are just so many issues that a person may have, maybe experiencing sifulani or any other traditional or rather spiritual issue that you may encounter in this world thing. So you go to a healer, they give you herbs that actually work for this particular thing, but for some reason that particular herb doesn't work for you. But other people that have actually been given this particular herb have actually gotten positive results in like a span of days, in a sense thing. So you might be wondering, well, why are certain herbs not working for you? And you might actually feel like, oh, maybe the healer's fault, but there are certain reasons why certain herbs may not be working for you, and I'm gonna be looking at these reasons. That way that can assist you guys on actually trying to find the proper herbs that are actually gonna be good for you. And if you're a healer, it might actually assist you in terms of diagnosing the kind of herbs that may work for a particular person. Okay, because one thing about us healers is that we might have a certain mixture for this particular illness or disease which actually works for a lot of people, but have that particular client whom this particular remedy tends to not work for them. So there are reasons why that can happen, and we're going to be looking at that today. So number one, some herbs go against your ancestors' principles. Okay, so like I said, as people with amadlozi, people with different types of ancestors, you might find that we have different ancestors with different gifts and whatnot. So there are certain ancestors that do not use certain herbs that other healers do use. So that means certain herbs are not gonna work for you the way that they work for the next person, depending on how your ancestors work. For example, I'm gonna give you the most simple example in the book, which is like having a prophetic ancestor and going to a traditional sangoma for assistance. So what that can do, if your ancestors, for example, they do not want you using traditional herbs, but rather want you using prophetic herbs, because those are the things that correlate more with your spiritual gift, then you might have issues in terms of those particular herbs. For example, one of the symptoms that some people with prophetic gifts might encounter when using certain traditional herbs, depending on whether their ancestors actually want them to use them or not. Let's say, for example, the ancestors don't want them using traditional herbs. Now, what will happen is that this particular person will literally get sick when using this particular herbs. Like you'll get yourself feeling drowsy, feeling weak, feeling all types of different things. And for other people, you find out even for that particular moment when you're using this particular herbs, your dreams, your visions, instructions from your ancestors, you stop getting them. So most of the times people will stop and say, oh, maybe this healer did something to block me. Well, it's not the case. It's just that your ancestors do not want you to use that particular type of herb that you have been given. So as a person, try to understand what is it that your ancestors want you to use and what they don't. Now, for some people, their ancestors don't mind as long as you're getting the kind of help that they need you to get. Then whatever herb you're using, it doesn't matter to them, regardless of whether you're using prophetic things or traditional things. Whereas for other people, get that thing out, your ancestors are very choosy, so they will show you what they don't want something. They don't want you using something physically. So more longer you're actually gonna feel yourself getting sick when you're using it, or you're just gonna see yourself not getting dreams, visions, and instructions the way that you usually do. So what you need to do is to try and find out what it is that your ancestors want you to use and what it is that they don't want you to use. Okay, so this doesn't only work when in terms of people that have prophetic gifts. There are other spirits. There are different spiritual gifts. There's Mdiki, there's Ndawi, there's Nzuza, there's Balos. Like there's just so many different spiritual gifts in this world. Even apart from the traditional gifts that we have, there's mediumship. Like there's just so many things. So depending on your gift, you can be affected by certain gifts, like certain herbs from other spiritually gifted people negatively, because that is not what you should be using. For example, there are people they can't use herbs, they can't use duwasho, they can only use water, because that is what their ancestors permit in their system. Okay, so moving on. All right, so moving on, number two, you may be more spiritually stronger than the person that is helping you. So I don't like this term, I'm going to say one healer is stronger than the other. It's actually something I'm really against, a notion that I'm really against, but it does correlate here and there in certain type of things. So like I said, there are healers that specialize in certain things and others don't specialize in those kind of things. They specialize in something completely different, né? So herbal use is the same thing, né? There are certain herbs or certain healers cannot really work around properly. For example, you can actually know how to mix that particular herb, but your head may not be strong enough to actually attend to that particular illness using those particular herbs, né? So and apart from that, you might find that spiritually, one person's spiritual gift has actually reached a certain level higher than the other person's. So let's say, for example, this person whose spiritual gift has actually reached this particular high level is helped by a person who's a bit lower with them in terms of their spiritual growth and spiritual awakening, spiritual strength in that particular point in time. There's a high chance that those helps are not going to work for person A as much, né? So it's very important for you to actually, for a healer, because as people get that thing out, as long as a person says I can help you with this, you are gonna be like, okay, cool. So it's actually important for you as a healer to know when your ancestors are saying you cannot be able to help this particular person. Try not to be greedy, because that is something that is not gonna help either one of you guys. Because if your ancestors tell you that you cannot assist this person with this particular illness, but you're still pushing to do it, obviously you will get punished by your ancestors for not listening to their guidance, né? But Lorna, as a person, let's say for example you go to a healer, they say they can help you, but you have a dream or a vision where the ancestors say, well, this is not going to go the way that you want it to. You do have to listen to your ancestors, because at the end of the day they want you to get the proper herbs for whatever illness or whatever spiritual reason you may have in this world, né? So you might find the person helping you is not on the same spiritual level as you. It is a thing, it does happen, there's nothing wrong with it. Try to put your pride aside and don't assist people if you see that you cannot help them with the herbs that you're going to give them, right? Number 3, over-the-counter herbs. Okay, so with this one, it's a bit tricky, né? Because this applies to some people and doesn't apply to others. For some people, for most people, né, you can go to a store. You're not a sangoma, né? You're gonna go to a herbal store. You're gonna go buy let's say pindam shai, né? You're gonna wanna use it for a specific reason, for a specific illness. But when you use it, it's not going to work for you, because you do not have the strength that people with amadlos or people with a spiritual gift or people who have appeased their ancestors have. So over-the-counter herbs tend to not really work for a lot of people, unless if this herb is bought by a healer, attended to or mixed by this particular healer and given to you by this healer with the strength of their ancestors. So over-the-counter herbs, that also implies to do wash and whatnot. You can get them, you can go buy them and find water. You're using it, but it's not working for you. You're still getting the same results. Whenever you go out and consult, the same issue is actually popping out over and over again, because these particular herbs do not have the strength of someone who has amadlozi or someone who is already appeased for their ancestors. So sometimes over-the-counter herbs, when you're not a spiritually gifted person, or when you're not a person who's already appeased their ancestors, because when you haven't appeased their ancestors, you haven't awoken your ancestors, you haven't awoken the spiritual strength that you need to have to actually heal yourself or heal other people for that matter, right? So that means with certain herbs are not going to work for you, and that is not the only thing. Like even herbs that you dig out yourself may not work for you the way that you want them to. For example, you can be a person who grew up with healers and whatnot, so you may be very knowledgeable in certain herbs, so you may be a herbalist, very knowledgeable in certain herbs, but you do not have the authority, or rather the strength, to actually take this herb that you know, prepare for a person and have it work for them the way that it should. For some people it does, for most people it doesn't. So it's very important for you guys to know whether you have the strength to actually attend to certain things or not, because that is actually one of the things it's actually affecting a lot of people from getting healing, because you know very well that you have not appeased your ancestors, but you're trying to use certain herbs but you're not getting the results. It's mainly because you may not have the strength of your ancestors. But it does occur that some ancestors may actually come to you, show you a herb and say, well, use this herb to do this. Automatically when that happens, know that you have been given the strength. This is like, yeah, you have been given the strength to actually help yourself or help this particular person that they told you to help with this particular herb, whether or not you have initiated or not, right? You have already been given the strength. So most of the times that applies if maybe you have independent spirits, or maybe, yeah, your ancestors are initiating you themselves or have initiated you themselves. But in that regard, you're already a sangom. Or for example, you are in the process of actually going to initiate, but they're already guiding you on certain herbs and how to use them. Automatically when that happens, they're giving you the strength to actually help yourself or help other people with this particular herb. Okay, Number 4, the wrong diagnosis or the wrong prescription. Okay, so let's say, for example, uyinyanga, you're a sangoma, you're a healer, you're a prophet, and a person comes to you with a certain disease. And usually this particular disease, you fix it with this particular kind of herb. But for some reason, the ancestors of this person feel as though this is not the right herb for this person because of maybe the degree at which this particular disease is in this person's body. Because sometimes people use stronger herbs than others to actually put a certain spiritual illness on another person. So meaning for like stronger muti, like spiritual attacks, you're going to need stronger herbs. So you might find that the prescription that you may give a person is not going to be the prescription that can actually assist with this particular matter. So the wrong prescription does affect whether or not certain herbs are going to work for you as a person. So try to find the proper prescription. As a healer, try to know whether this particular herb is going to help this person the way that it should. Okay, it's very important for that to be done. Okay, so so the wrong prescription will affect the efficacy or the strength of the herb that you're going to be using as a person, or the herb that you're going to be given as a person. Okay, number 5, the herbs its energy. Okay, I didn't know how to actually put this in English, so I'm gonna just try to explain it in English. When a herb its energy, a herb has been deatified. Yeah, I think that makes sense, even though I don't think that's a good real term, but it works. You guys will understand what I'm saying. The herb has been deatified. So when a herb is deatified, when a herb is deatified, one thing that you cannot do is that one thing that can actually cause that to happen, maybe for example, you're given a herb by a healer and you're trying to use it when you're a woman and you're on your periods. That is not going to work. Automatically the herb is going to lose its strength, the herb is going to lose its efficiency to a point where you're going to be using that herb, but it's not going to work for you the way that it should. That's what deatifies herbs. Number 2, you have been intimate with a person. So this applies to both healers and patients, right? So with the first one, for some healers, they can actually work on their periods, or they have certain things that they can use to actually make sure that so in terms of in terms of being intimate with a person, you might find that yes, for some healers can use certain things, but for others you need to make sure that you wait before you use them. Or as a patient, as someone who actually got herbs from a healer to actually attend to certain things, you cannot use herbs where you were intimate with a person. After being intimate with a person, there's supposed to be a duration of time that you need to wait before using those particular herbs. So hence that is why when you're using traditional things, when you're initiating, they will tell you that you are not supposed to be intimate with anybody. Even if it's your husband, even if it's your wife, you are not supposed to be intimate with that person, because that will affect the strength of the herbs that you will be using to actually assist you or help you in that particular manner. The herb completely is not going to work, and you're going to be there wondering, or until this person say, well, this is going to help me, but find out you are the reason why it is not working for you, because you've already tsanelad the herbs. Don't judge me for using it like that, but it is what it is. Number 3, you cannot visit multiple places with the herbs. Meaning what, like for example, you just got a herb from a sankom, you just came to me, for example, I've given you a herb, so from there, what you need to do once you've gotten the herb from me is that you need to go straight home. And once you've gotten straight home, you are most likely supposed to leave the herb there if you want to go anywhere else. The minute you get into multiple houses that are not your home, and even the people that you might be going to, or where you don't know what that person has been doing, maybe that person was with their partner, maybe that person is on their periods, automatically the energy of those people will actually affect the herbs that you're going to be using. So hence, so those herbs are not going to work for you. Okay, and the last one is not trusting the herb to begin with. Belief is a strong thing. That's one thing I'm gonna say. For example, a person can actually you can actually take a glass of water and believe, this is gonna heal me. It's a mind over matter thing. I believe it's a mind over matter thing, because sometimes a certain amount of belief can actually give something the strength that it needs to actually help and assist you. So it's the same as herbs. If automatically you see a herb and you're like, we'll just see, but I don't think this is going to help me, then it's not going to help you. It's not going to work, because when you have faith in whatever it is that you are given by a healer, or when you have faith in the strength of that particular healer, the strength of this healer's ancestors and whatnot, then automatically it's going to help you the way that it should. Okay, anyways, that is it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. I hope this is actually gonna be helpful for some of you guys. And anyways, yeah, that's it for me today. Anyways, have a beautiful one. Thokozani. Bye bye.
madlozi yakhuluma nami